The mansion on Elm Street. The autumn rain had been falling for 3 days straight in the hills overlooking Seattle, turning the fallen leaves into a slippery carpet of gold and crimson. Sarah Martinez pulled her thin jacket closer around her shoulders as she walked up the winding road that led to the city's most exclusive neighborhood. Her worn sneakers squelched with each step, and her stomach growled with a hollow ache that had become her constant companion. It had been 4 days since her last real meal. The job search that had started with hope 3 months ago had dwindled to desperation, and her savings account showed a balance that wouldn't even cover a decent dinner. Pride had kept her from asking friends for help, but pride, she was learning, was a luxury she could no longer afford. The mansion at the end of Elm Street stood like something from a dream, its stone facade glowing warm and golden through the tall windows. Sarah had walked past it many times during her job-hunting expeditions through the neighborhood, always wondering what it would be like to live in such a place. The garden was immaculate, the driveway swept clean, and soft light spilled from nearly every window, suggesting warmth and comfort that felt worlds away from her cold studio apartment. She had heard through neighborhood gossip that the house belonged to Marcus Chen, the young CEO of Chen Technologies who had made his fortune developing language learning software. The same Marcus Chen whose company she had tried and failed to get an interview with weeks ago. But today, Sarah wasn't thinking about job applications or career prospects. Today, she was thinking about survival. Standing at the ornate iron gate, Sarah took a deep breath that misted in the cool air. The worst thing that could happen was that someone would say no. The best thing, well, she tried not to hope too much for the best thing. She pressed the intercom button with a trembling finger. "Yes?" came a voice through the speaker. It was deep, professional, but not unkind. Sarah cleared her throat. "I'm sorry to bother you," she began, her voice barely steady. "My name is Sarah Martinez. I was wondering, I know this might sound strange, but would you have any cleaning work I could do? I don't need money, just a meal, a plate of food." The silence that followed felt endless. Sarah closed her eyes, feeling the heat of embarrassment creep up her neck. This had been a terrible idea. She was about to turn away when the voice came through the speaker again. "Please wait there." Several minutes passed, each one feeling like an hour. Sarah shifted her weight from foot to foot, watching water drip from the elegant pine trees that lined the driveway. She was just beginning to think that "wait there" had been a polite way of saying "go away" when she heard footsteps approaching from the other side of the gate. The front door of the mansion opened, and a figure walked down the curved pathway toward her. As he came closer, Sarah could see it was a man about her age, Asian, wearing dark jeans and a soft gray sweater. His hair was slightly messy, and he moved with the careful gait of someone who was trying to process something unexpected. When he reached the gate and looked at her through the iron bars, his face went completely still. His dark eyes widened, and for a moment, he seemed frozen, as if he had seen a ghost. "Sarah?" he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Sarah blinked in confusion. Do I know you?" The man's hand moved to the gate's electronic lock, and it clicked open with a soft buzz. He stepped through, never taking his eyes off her face. "Sarah Martinez," he said slowly, as if testing the words. "You used to live on Pine Street, didn't you? Near the university?" A memory stirred, distant, but growing clearer. Sarah studied his face, looking past the expensive clothes and the confidence that success had given him. "Marcus," she whispered. "Marcus Chen?" He nodded, and a smile broke across his face like sunrise. "I can't believe it's you." Sarah's mind raced backward through time. Marcus Chen from her college economics class, the quiet, brilliant student who had sat in the back row and rarely spoke unless called upon. The same Marcus who had helped her study for their final exam. who had shared his notes when she missed class because of her work schedule, who had been her study partner and, for one brief, shining semester, something more. "I heard you started a company," Sarah said, still struggling to connect the nervous college student she remembered with the successful CEO standing before her. "I saw the articles online." Marcus's expression grew serious as he really looked at her for the first time. He took in her worn clothes, her thin frame, the careful way she held herself that spoke of someone who was trying very hard to maintain dignity in difficult circumstances. "Sarah," he said gently, "what happened? The last time we spoke, you were planning to go to law school." She felt her cheeks burn with shame. "Life happened," she said simply. "Family medical bills, job market difficulties, bad timing." She gestured toward the mansion. "I'm sorry for bothering you. I didn't know this was your house. I can go—" "No," Marcus said quickly, reaching out as if to stop her from leaving. "Don't go, please." He opened the gate wider. "Come in. We have a lot to catch up on." Sarah hesitated. "Marcus, I meant what I said on the intercom. I just need work, just something to earn a meal. I don't want charity." "It's not charity," Marcus interrupted. "It's dinner between old friends. There's a difference." The mansion's interior was even more beautiful than Sarah had imagined. Warm hardwood floors gleamed under soft lighting, and artwork lined the walls of the spacious entryway. But what struck her most was how quiet it was, how empty it felt, despite its grandeur. Marcus led her to a kitchen that was larger than her entire apartment, all granite countertops and stainless steel appliances. "Sit," he said, gesturing to a comfortable chair at the large island. "Let me cook for you." "You cook?" Sarah asked, surprised. Marcus smiled, and she caught a glimpse of the shy student she had once known. "I learned out of necessity. It gets lonely eating takeout every night in a house this big." As Marcus moved around the kitchen with surprising skill, preparing what smelled like a feast, they talked. Sarah found herself telling him about the past few years, the struggles, the disappointments, the gradual wearing away of her dreams. Marcus listened without judgment, asking gentle questions and offering understanding rather than solutions. In return, he told her about his journey from their shared economics class to CEO, the long nights of coding, the failed prototypes, the moment when his language learning app had finally taken off. But he also spoke of loneliness, of the isolation that came with success, of how he often missed the simplicity of their college days. "Do you remember?" Marcus said as he set a plate of perfectly prepared salmon and vegetables in front of her. "That time we studied for Professor Wilson's exam until 3 in the morning in the library?" Sarah smiled, taking her first bite of food in days and trying not to show how desperately hungry she was. "You brought those terrible energy drinks, and I brought leftover pizza that was probably older than it should have been. You fell asleep. On your textbook," Marcus continued, his eyes warm with memory. "I covered you with my jacket." "I always wondered why I woke up warm," Sarah said softly. They ate in comfortable silence for a while, the years between them seeming to fade away. Finally, Marcus set down his fork and looked at her seriously. "Sarah," he said, "I want to offer you something, not out of pity, but because I need help and you're someone I trust." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "What kind of help?" Chen Technologies is expanding internationally. "I need someone to head our new cultural liaison division, someone who understands different perspectives, who can bridge gaps between communities. The position would involve travel, coordination with international teams, and yes, it would pay well enough for law school, if that's still something you want." Sarah stared at him. "Marcus, you don't need to." "I do need to," he interrupted. "Not for you, though I care about you and always have. For me. For my company. You have something I can't teach or buy. The ability to connect with people, to understand what they really need. That's worth more than any MBA. Sarah felt tears prick at her eyes. "You're serious?" completely. "But first," Marcus said, standing and moving to the stove, "let me pack you some food to take home. And tomorrow, if you're interested, come to my office. We'll discuss the details properly." As Sarah walked back down Elm Street later that evening, her arms full of containers of food and her heart full of possibility, she reflected on the strange turns life could take. She had come to a stranger's door asking for work in exchange for a meal. Instead, she had found an old friend, a second chance, and the reminder that sometimes our lowest moments can lead to our most unexpected blessings. The rain had stopped, and through the breaking clouds, the first stars of evening were beginning to shine.